trying to protect the earth. They call themselves elder brothers, and they call us younger brothers. That is reality. And basically, they're very upset these days because we're destroying the planet. That's the philosophy they basically are trying to push in the world because they were very, very, very separated and secluded from the civilization. They don't want to be in the contact with us and anything. But they reached out some years ago. It's going to be probably like 40 years ago by now. And there were 2 movies produced, which I have like links at the end. So we can do next slide. Let's see what we have. Oh, there's, by the way, nice beaches over there. You could go swimming. Next slide. We have to kind of run through. And of course, a bunch of resorts. Next. So here, this is the High Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. And it's the world's actually tallest coastal range that goes up to 18,000 feet from the beach, roughly like 15 miles. And you're up in those elevations. There's about 36 rivers going down and 6,000 somehow square miles of the land. Next slide. And one of the interesting things, which is part of their actual cosmology, the whole coastal range, which is this, and a little bit of here, has a shape of a heart.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they talk about it. It's not coincidence. So of course there's cosmology and all these things and the spiritual living. It's very complex. So we don't kind of have time, unfortunately, for all of that here. But that's okay. You can do next slide. They're part of ancient previous civilization, which they call Tairona. And basically we don't know much about them at all. It's very ancient, going way before Christ and all that. And these people are basically descendants of these ancient Tairona people, which were known for having a lot of gold artifacts and stuff. And of course, still from Spanish until today, people are looking for famous El Dorado, the city of gold and stuff. So that's all going on over there in the region of Colombia. So these Kogi people are basically direct descendants of these Tairona people. And they're the only ones, pretty much, who never been conquered by Spanish. So because when the Spanish came to the coast and started doing their stuff in South America, these people ran away up to the high mountains and started using ancient cities and ancient ruins and whatever was left there, and started living in there. So the Spanish couldn't find them. So these Kogi people, there on the wall, they've never been conquered. They preserved their knowledge, they preserved their culture and their everything basically clean. Can you do next slide? So here it just talks about the timelines, and that's not that important. Basically the Tairona culture and Muisca culture, and these people are coming from that, basically. So next, there's some gold artifacts you can see in Colombia, in the museums. They have beautiful gold museums, especially in Bogota. Next one, yeah, maybe some of you know these weird gold flying machines that were on TV at one point. We don't know what they are. We don't know what they were used for, but they sure look like planes. That's just a little detail. Next. So here, that's one of the places the ancient Tairona left behind. They call this Lost City or Ciudad Perdida. Also, they call it Colombian Machu Picchu. It's a huge complex of ruins and these special terraces up in the mountains. And still today, there's about 10% excavated only from this whole place. It's gigantic. It takes all over like a whole valley. So that's an ancient city of Tayuna. They roughly think it's been founded 800, roughly like 650 years before Machu Picchu. So it's supposedly not as old but it's all debatable because it's stone. So this is just a basic data points about the city. Next, this is roughly how it looks like, and I'm showing this because these Kogi people, they still occupy some of these places today. Since they ran from the Spanish, they went up to the mountains, to these places, to these cities, and living in them still today, some. So today we can split basically these descendants of Tairona culture into three major groups that are living in those mountains. There's slight differences between them, but not as much. So basically we're talking about Kogi today, which is these on the bottom, but there's other two, Arhuaco, for example. So Kogi, in their language, they call themselves Kakaba, but there's a little issue with the translation because some people translate it as the people, like we're the people. Some translation says it means jaguar, so there's a little debate about it. So we can basically call them jaguar people, I guess. That will work. That's how they look like. They were white, completely white, which is very, I would say, for indigenous people, very unusual. I never seen anything similar anywhere in the world. Especially not here, not in Africa, nowhere. I don't know, I didn't travel everywhere, but I did travel a lot of places. And these people, they wear these white clothes because the reason is, it's the purity of the nature. It's the purity of life, white. That's why they do that. Next. Oh, by the way, this is the trail, one of the many trails, or whatever they call it. How do you get to there? Through the villages, that's how we got there. And I just got basically very special privilege, opportunity to be there because I got hired as a photographer. Not many people were able to do that or had a chance to do that in the world, basically, I would say. I don't want to brag about it, but it's true because there's been only 2 movies filmed about these people, so far as I know. And not many people are allowed to go there because it's a very closed community and guarded. This is just food they gave us. These are their houses, the huts, how they live. There's basically 2 types of these homes. One is like a family house where women and children live, and the other one is where men live. They're separated. And they have this house also, which usually have these spiritual things on top, which of course have a meaning, which I don't know exactly. I don't know everything, and they call them nuevo, something like that. Nueve. Okay, nueve. And that's basically a place where all the men gather. No one else is allowed there. The men go there and they decide what's going to happen with the village, what's going to happen with their life, and plan kind of like the going-ons of their community. So it's like sort of like a city hall, you can call it. Next. So, and these main people who decide these things are these guys. So they're usually elders, of course, and they're the most important people of the whole community. Each village has their own mama or mamo, that's how they call them, mamas. And usually the older ones, the elders, you can make the difference because they wear these different kinds of hats. It doesn't have to be here. Usually it's these pointed ones, but sometimes you can see like a guy wearing like a cowboy hat. So that means that person is a mama. And it's not a shaman. That's an important point. Because a lot of people think, oh, they're like shamans. No, they're not. They're priests. Because their community, their way of life, and how they are organized, it's basically kind of like half theocratic community, basically. So they're priests and healers. So, for example, when the baby or child gets sick or something, they take the baby to mama and he's trying to heal them. which not always work, unfortunately. That's why these people have about 50% child mortality, unfortunately, because they don't have access to medicine or anything. They don't want to. It's not like they don't. We could give it to them, but they don't want to. They have their own way of life, basically. So these are the most important for the whole village, whole community, and they decide basically what's going on in their lives. They have arranged marriages, not strictly. It's not like that's the only way. They're not really radical about it. If someone finds a wife, on their own, they can do it. It's allowed. But I would say mostly, like maybe 80% of the marriages are arranged in their community. So what do we have next? Okay, here's a little, like when you be looking at the pictures. Here you can see the little differences between boys and girls. Boys usually have the bags over here. Girls have usually necklaces and those kind of things. But the girls have, when they get older or when they become women, they have bags too. So later they both have bags. But as a kids, not. Another very important thing they use is this poporo thing, which is this tool over here. And that basically is a gourd, which is hollow, and they use crushed lime, which they collect at the beaches down at the foothills, and they collect shells. Then they cook them, bake them on the fire, crush them, and put them with the water in the gourd, and that creates like a chemical reaction. And what they do, they stick that wooden stick in it, and basically put it in their mouth, and with it at the same time they chew coca leaves. And the lime and the coca leaves, they release chemicals. It creates a reaction in their mouth, and that's how they see the world. So it's a kind of, just a different version of, let's say, Native American person who, cooks cactus or something like that, and using that. So each culture around the world, they do the same things basically in just a slightly different way. So that's one of the things, like we're all one, everything's one because it is. It's just a different ways how to do it. But the goal is kind of similar to get there. So here it talks about the poporo, which is one of the most important things basically in their spiritual living, in their community. So they believe that natural coca, which is like something that grows there, and that's like everywhere, of course. Like I was joking, but not really. Colombia is the probably biggest producer of cocaine, unfortunately, in the world, because it's one of the things they use. But originally it was used for these things, and of course modern man, as we know, abused the whole thing. So, next. They're very hardworking people. They grow coffee, so you can buy when you go there their own coffee, or there are other things like yucca, or they very like to eat like the yucca roots, and what else, like banana trees, corn. Basically they have farms in the different elevations of the mountains, and where they grow stuff. So they're very kind of, basically self-sustained. They don't need outside world to survive. Another thing is I think this is the sugar cane. They produce like a special paste. It's like a Colombian version of sugar. So, and they're trying to barter. So when they need like a rice or something they cannot grow, they go down to the market and they barter with their products and get what they need from the rest of the world, not from us, from the younger brothers. There's very balanced masculine and feminine energy in their community, which is true. Next. And here's some examples of it. They make their own clothes. Women, they spin the cotton, but the men weave it. After it's done, women makes the bags and the clothes, but the man make the pottery. They have separated tasks, things of who is allowed to do what, and it's very, very well done. So talked about the harvesting the crops and stuff too. And the women are allowed to own land. So they have their own land in the mountains, which they kind of took over, of course, or it's their ancestral lands after the Tairona people. And the government in Colombia is trying to work with them, which never really is 100% correct. Depends on the government in Colombia, which is changing all the time. Sometimes, it's really rough, sometimes not. So that's the one issue. They have to deal with the bureaucrats all the time. And also, a lot of times they have to deal with the, what are those people? The people who grow coca, the cartels, the guerrilla wars. Because in the same mountains there's these groups, the militia groups, armed, very violent people. And a lot of times they're trying to displace these people somewhere else because they want to take their land and grow cocaine, produce cocaine. So they're kind of having constant tensions with these people. But so far they still managed to be there. One of the, like I said, one of the cosmological, spiritual things, that's probably most important because it's very complex. We don't have time for all of it. But basically, their belief is at the beginning. They call it Aluna, and it's a grandmother, great mother. The concept is that there was nothing at the beginning, just darkness, and that was before everything was created, before the universe. And this Aluna, which they worship like a great mother, and there's another mother, which is like a Mother Earth. So there's two of these. The Great Mother was the creation itself. So from nothing, from the darkness, there was only a sea. Dark sea, water, nothing else. Everything was created from the water, supposedly. And the Aluna didn't have any form, didn't have any physical, nothing. Basically what they say, Aluna is a thought. At the beginning there was a thought. Just an idea. And from that they created them and others and later the world itself. There's a lot of numbers 9 in their cosmology. For some reason it was created, Aluna created 9 worlds, 9 children. Like for example, when they build those huts, this thing, Nuhue, it's the world house where they gather, where they do the ceremonies and stuff. It has levels, like a wood beams levels. And of course, there's 9 of them. Another interesting thing, when the mamas, they're specially trained, those priests, the child is usually picked at around 9 months old. They're chosen like a Dalai Lama sort of thing. They put them in a cave or in the hut in a dark place. And they're there for 9 years. So 9 months, 9 years, 9 worlds, 9 levels of this world. For some reason, I didn't do research into that, but there's 9 all the time, everywhere. So this mama is in the cave, and they're fed, they're taken care of, they're trained, and they basically, how do you say that? Since they're disconnected from the world, in the darkness, basically for all those years, they see things beyond. They learn. They're constantly taught by the elders, mamas, by their, the chiefs and the priests, and Their goal is, when they come out later from the cave, to lead the community. And this is like a constant process. So these people, they take them out at some point after those years. And because they were trained this way, they can basically do things, see things differently than the rest of the community. They can read water. They predict future from water and things like that. So that's how they're trained. That's how they're special, because they don't have access. They don't have access to the outside world at all, except the limited special food, special little bit of water, a lot of fasting, and the body just adjusts to that and has access to other worlds. So I don't know.
3 more minutes.
Yeah, so we're pretty much done. That's what I thought. Yeah, it's very complex. So this is the if someone would like to see more, these are really good 2 movies that the person, what was his name? Alan. Some Alan. He was basically invited to the community because they realized we, as younger brothers, destroying the planet, because they're guardians. They're trying to protect the planet. They're watching. They're reading the water. They're watching the clouds. They're doing all these things, and they're trying to tell us that we need to do something with the planet and save it. Otherwise, we'll all die. That's their idea about all things. And in these 2 movies, they show all these things and much more. Very nice to see. So I recommend both. One is called The Heart of the World. That's the old one, which was, I think, like 1990s. So it's all movie. And then they later, in 2012, they did the other one, which is called Aluna, which is that grandmother idea. And both are talking about the nature and all their life. And they show certain things, how they live and all that. So those are very good sources if someone would like to know more and watch more. So basically, their message is very, very clear. We're destroying the planet, and we should save it. If we don't, we will die. And so far as I can tell, younger brother doesn't listen, unfortunately. Next. So, and it's true, that's me. I was really there, so it's not made up. These are the people, that's how they live. I was younger. And that's all I can say in 20 minutes. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
And, things like that. That's what they do.